Okay, it's spring 2025 in the Western Suburbs of Chicago, and I want to talk about, is it a good or bad time to be buying a house in this area right now? Before we jump in, just want to remind you, I'm Mike Thornton. I run a top real estate team here in the Western Suburbs of Chicago. If you'd like more information about our market, just reach out to me. Information's in the description. But let's jump into the video. All right, here's a couple reasons why this is not a good time to buy in spring 2025 Western Suburbs. First reason being is this is one of the few supply constrained markets still in the country. If you look at a map and you read the headlines, you're gonna read things like, wow, the market has shifted, prices are cratering, buyers are in control. And I would say that is the case for some areas of the country. I was just in Florida with my family for spring break. We went to 30A in the Panhandle, and there was over 1,000 listings along 30A. There were listings everywhere. Now, the reason I think that is that's a market that's heavily vacation home, heavily second home, and those are the first properties to get listed if things change in the economy, job situation changes, there's uncertainty in the stock market, all the different things. So those are the first houses to go. In general, those are the most turned over houses to begin with. So Florida, in addition, in like Texas and some of the areas of the South and Southwest, they had the biggest run up during COVID when people were changing where they were living, changing where they were spending their time, people that were working remotely, things like that. Well, some of that has normalized a bit. Some people are back in the office and they're not living down there. They're living back where they were in Tennessee or wherever, and the situations have changed. So all that to say, those markets, they went up more, so they have a little bit more to fall if things normalize. They have a lot of vacation homes, second homes, things like that. Those properties turn over first. So those areas are a little bit more at risk for home prices going down. Here in Chicagoland, a very constrained market, it's not a good thing from the standpoint of you're going to be competing and you're going to have a tough time finding a great property here. It's very, very competitive. Now on the flip side, I could argue there's a positive in there that you're going to be entering a market that is supply constrained. So once you do get a property, you are gonna have a great story to tell for why that property is gonna be going up in value like very quickly. We were up another 8% in appreciation the last 12 months, and the projection for this year is another 6 to 8%. So even though it's tough getting in, and that definitely is a con, luckily you will have a really good shot at that property being worth more 6 months, a year later, and that's not been common in the housing market other than the last few years. And in Chicago, we have a little bit more runway, at least here in the suburbs, for home prices to continue to go up. So the next reason why it might not be the best time to buy right now is the spring market is the most competitive time. That is the time where if you look at the seasonality of home prices, it peaks a little bit in the spring because buyers are willing to be a little bit more aggressive. It's almost like these buyers gear up for this time frame. They're like, we're gonna get something done. They're ready to go. They took a break during the holidays, but they're ready to get back into this thing and get something done. And so we just see more showings. We see more competitive nature of what's going on. We see buyers willing to be a little bit more aggressive. So in order to get under contract, you're going to have to be at that level to get something done. So that's definitely potentially a con for buying during this time. On the flip side, let's talk about a few pros. Even though it is a very competitive time, you do tend to see the best inventory. You see the inventory for everybody that's a planner, everybody that's like looking ahead and saying, hey, we need to sell our house in the next year or so, and they have flexibility. You see 8 out of 10 of those people pick the spring for when they're gonna list their home. You don't see many planners planning on hitting the market in November or December. Now there are homes that hit, but it's because life happens. It's not because they're planning ahead and targeting that time. So if you're looking for the best inventory, even though it's very competitive, you are looking for that spring market. That's when the most number of homes hit. That's when the best inventory hits, the inventory that's most sought after, and you will have the most to choose from, even though you're competing with more buyers at the same time. So the next reason, I kind of mentioned it, that there's a pro in buying right now is we are still in a very constrained market. Again, to my previous thought, if you were looking to buy in Florida right now, I would say not a great time because we don't know necessarily what the bottom is. It's had about 6 or 9 months of bottoming out, but we don't know what that floor is, and I wouldn't want to buy necessarily until I know what that floor is. So if I was looking to buy there, I'd want to see things stabilize for a little bit and even start working its way back up, and that's when I would want to jump into the market. Now, obviously, things happen, you just need a home sometimes, and so you got to get in. But if you were to pinpoint, which is the whole point of this video, here in Chicago in a constrained inventory environment, it's more about time in the market than timing the market, especially if we are continuing to see low supply with home prices going up. It's almost like the longer you can be in that market and be in, the longer you have have to have that appreciate, the more value, the more equity you can gain. So you don't necessarily want to keep waiting and waiting and waiting, especially in a constrained environment where home prices are likely to go up because demand is greater than supply. Now, the other pro to buying right now is rates have taken a little bit of a dip. We don't know necessarily if that's going to be the case for long. They were about 7.25 3 months ago. They got as low as 6.5 when I'm taping this video right now. Anything can happen. Obviously, that could go down even further. But if you're looking at what the environment was the last year versus today, you're going to be saving a decent amount on your mortgage because rates have come down about 3/4 of a point. I hope those factors help you. Again, if you're looking to make a move here, if you want to talk about your specific situation, I'd be happy to talk through that with you. Get in touch with us. Information is in the description. Hope this was helpful. If so, like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you in the next video.